guys, welcome back to my channel, The Inked Reader, and today I wanted to do a tag. Usually I don't do tags on my channel, it's not something that I really do or that I'm really interested in doing, although I'm open to try them out more often if it's something you might enjoy. So let's try this one because I felt it was a nice wrap up with the first 6 months of the year, and then you can let me know if you want to see more in the future. So this is the mid-year freak out book tag or whatever. I had not been tagged, but I've watched a bunch of videos where they were tagging pretty much everybody who was watching, so I consider myself tagged in that sense. I try also to not repeat any book, so although I've not decided yet, because it's still 6 months before the end of the year, which is my favorite ultimate book of the year, I didn't want to repeat any answer, so try to put each book in a different category, if it makes sense, just not to be repetitive. Best book of 2021 so far. It took me ages to come up with this, but I think I'm gonna go with Sarah J. Maas' Crescent City, which is not a 2021 release, but a 2020 release, I believe. However, I read this in January, and the reason why I chose this is because it's the one who kept me glued to the pages the most. It's the one who I literally read all of it in a few days. I link down below my January wrap-up when I talk about I link down below the January wrap-up where I talk in depth about what I thought about this and why I loved it so much. It has flaws, but in terms of enjoyment, I guess it's the one that kept me the most. But in terms of enjoyment, is one that gave me probably so far the most out of it. Best sequel you've read in 2021. Now, I've not read many sequels. I am, however, doing a reading challenge for which each month I am going to finish a series that I had been in the middle of. And I looked at that and I realized that I have been quite disappointed so far in all the sequels, well, termination of series that I've read, and that none basically passed the 4 stars marks so far. I've got 3 left to read in that video. I'll link it down below the TBR for that. So I came up with the only other sequel I've read that has nothing to do with that video, which is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is, yes, the start of another trilogy after A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it is a sequel because you follow the same characters and it's a continuation of the plot on the first 3 books. So it makes sense, okay? I really enjoyed this one and I loved the couple in this, so that's why I enjoy it so much. But also I think her books are very highly entertaining. So if I have to go for enjoyment, which is what I'm based this on, is this. New release you are yet to get around to read. And I've got so many, but I will go with The Shadow of the Gods. And I don't remember the name of the author, but I've heard about this book by a bunch of booktubers, and I have been missing reading epic fantasy, so this is the start of a new epic fantasy series, and from the cover I can tell there are dragons in it, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I heard amazing things from people that got an arc and they were able to read it. So I think from all the books I want to read that came out in 2021, I think this came out in May, this is probably on the top list so far. Most anticipated release for the next half of the year, and these will have to be Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. TJ Klune is an author that I absolutely love. He writes fantasies that are often queer, that are often very inclusive. He writes such funny stories, but at the same time they're very heartwarming, and I've been loving his books. All I've read so far I've absolutely enjoyed 100%. And in this, I don't know if you actually follow death or someone has died, but it has to do with death and grief, so I'm really looking forward to it because I know that he's gonna put his spin on it and it's gonna be bloody funny and bloody touching at the same time. That's the cover. Biggest disappointment. So I was thinking initially to go with Lolita, but then when I thought about that, I had DNF to Lolita in the past. I knew it was gonna be a hard read. I didn't know it was gonna be so freaking boring, but I knew that I might not love it. But a book that I absolutely thought, this is my cup of tea, I'm gonna love this so much, it's gonna be one of the best things I've ever read, was Perfume by Patrick Suskind. I read this from a European TBR with this I was touching in Germany. Again, I'll link down below the TBR. I thought it was gross, but not in a good way. Didn't like the main character. I didn't like pretty much anything, not the writing style or the plot, nothing. It's a huge disappointment. I gave this probably between 1 and 2 stars, and I'm gonna probably sell these, although it's a beautiful cover. I don't think I'm the right person for this author. It just didn't work. I might try the movie though, maybe that works best. Biggest surprise, the Pines trilogy by Blake Crouch. I really enjoyed the first one, and then the second one was okay, enjoyed it, but wasn't the best in the trilogy. That's why I didn't include it in the best sequel, but I loved the third one. And as a whole, the whole trilogy, it was such an amazing journey, and it's kind of touches upon topics, and it goes in areas where usually I don't really enjoy books that go there, and it's not my cup of tea, if you want to say that. However, I don't know if it was the writing, I don't know if it was the high tension throughout all the trilogy and the page turner. I listened to this on audiobook, and I was listening actively to it, which sometimes with audiobooks I get distracted, but with these I was there, I was listening, and I loved the discussion behind. I loved the main villain, our protagonist. In the first book, you follow this CIA agent that goes to a remote town in USA to find some colleagues that have disappeared from the face of the earth, and he goes there, and then he gets in a car accident, and when he wakes up he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember his name, where he's there, what's going on. So he starts wandering around the town trying to find answers, and madness ensues. It's just, I'm gonna leave it at that. But I cannot recommend this trilogy enough. It was brilliant, and I cannot spoil exactly what kind of genre it is, but it develops, and the whole journey is an adventure that you don't want to miss. Favorite new author? Now, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna say Malcolm Gladwell, which I've read the first book of in 2020, not 2021. But I love the guy. Like, everything he's gonna put out, I'm gonna read. I absolutely love the guy. He writes non-fiction, and he's a sociologist, I believe, but he writes very interesting non-fiction about topics that, by someone who studied forensic psychology, is, I love the topics, I love what he's talking about, I love the way he explains things very simply, but yet it gives you a lot of real life examples and explain a lot of studies. So I learn a lot every time I read one of his books. But if I have to come up with just a 2021 new author, I didn't fall in love with anybody in particular. However, I was impressed by Celeste Ng. I've read Everything I Never Told You before, and I have to say that I was impressed on the way she crafted the story and the way she made this plot and these characters feel real. It was like reading their subconscious. It was just reading like a private diary. So I was very much impressed by her writing style, and I will check out more by her. And I also want to mention Otsuki. I think, sorry, probably I'm butchering the name, but this is a Japanese horror novelist. I've just read a collection of short stories by him, horror short novels by him. However, because I'm not a big fan of short stories, and I ended up loving his short stories, and I was so glued to the page, I am gonna now check out another book by him this month, hopefully, finger crossed, if it comes through the post. I got a feeling that I really like his style and his horror stories, so he needs a mention here. Newest fictional crush, Cassian. I'm a Cassian girl, I will always say that. Yes, I loved him in the first trilogy, but he wasn't much there. Here we got a whole book of him. Definitely my kind of guy. Newest favorite character, and with this I have to go with Moist Van Wyk. Probably butchering his surname, but Moist is his first name, and he's the protagonist going postal, a book by Terry Pratchett. Loved this book. I'm gonna link it down below, the wrap up for this. I just read that this in May. Loved this, so bloody funny. I had such a good time, and Moist is brilliant. He's outlaw at the beginning of these, he's stealing things, he's a scoundrel and all you can think of, and then one day he's given a choice of either die, be condemned to death, or become a postmaster, renovate the post office of Ankh-Morpork, I think you pronounce it, probably butchering the name. It's just what I do, I guess, butchering names of things and people. So he becomes the postmaster, and I've talked about this at length in my wrap up. I'm gonna talk about this when I do like my whole video on the Disco War series, but such an amazing story. Terry Pratchett with these, he constantly did. I already knew he was a genius, but with these, I mean, how can you write a chunk of a book about a postmaster in a post office and make it one of the best things I've ever read? Book that made you cry, and with these I will have to go with Dispatches from Syria, The Morning They Came for Us by Janine Di Giovanni. This is a non-fiction about the Syrian war, and it's written by war journalist, and she recounts her time in Syria throughout a bunch of years she went there, and she talks about what the war looks like for people, for the civilians basically. Again, a book that I read in May and wrap up again, so I'll link it down below my wrap up. But this was extremely hard to read, and it's very graphic, and her prose is very nice, and I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I didn't cry per se, like crying, like I didn't have tears coming out of my eyes, but I felt very emotional. So I think of all the books I've read so far, probably this is the one that upset me the most while I was reading it. I did have a couple of true crime that I'm reading because of another TBR challenge I'm doing that kind of in some scenes got me very emotional. It was very hard to read, but those ones were just in a couple of scenes maybe, while here I was very upset throughout all the book. On the other side, a book that made me happy was The House on the Cerulean Sea, which was my first read of 2021. I've listened to this on audiobook. There's another book by TJ Klune, and it's about this guy who works for kind of social services, but in a world where there is magic, although children that have this magic or people that have got magic powers are very much outcasts. And the role of our main protagonist is to go and check orphanages and to check if, you know, they are allowed to stay open, if the children that have got magic power in there are safe for the general population and all of that. So he goes in a specific one because apparently there is a boy there who's got very disturbing powers. So he has to go there and stay a week and decide what he wants to do with his orphanage. And it's so bloody funny and just heartwarming. As I said, TJ Klune has got the perfect combination of queer characters and also writing bloody funny stories, but at the same time they give out a message, and they're really fast-paced and they're really nice to read overall. Most beautiful books you've bought. I have not bought many books since the beginning of the year. I've been working part-time and studying, so it's been a bit taxing on finances in terms of how many books I can afford to buy at the moment, but I've bought a couple from Fairy Loot. I don't have a subscription boxes. I just sometimes go on their website, and if there are any books I particularly like and they're in stock, I'll purchase them if I can. So I've purchased these, which is The Ray Bearer by Jordan Ifueko. Really love the cover and really like these. I have no idea what this is about, and from them I really also like the pages of Bone Crier's Dawn by Catherine Purdy, and I think this is a sequel to the first book. I don't remember how it's called, but like the first book, I don't read many YA, so when I like one, I'm very happy, because this day I struggle with them. But I love this color. It's amazing. Books I need to read before the end of the year. Where do I even start? I'm not gonna very much answer these. Reason be because I got whole TBRs throughout my channel, and we'll link them all down below for you guys to check out if you want. But basically every month I'm reading 10 books, aiming for, and each of the books is part of a TBR. I mean 9 of them at least, and one is a random pick. So I've got so many books to finish because I've got all those TBRs going on, and I need to finish those. But I think one aim, if I want to set a goal for myself, is to read the first book in the Wheel of Time, read the second book in the Storm Archives, and read The Count of Monte Cristo. So if I can read those 3 beasts that all belong to my TBRs as well, but they are the biggest one, I believe, I'll be so glad to tackle those. And that's it. I think there is another question, which is, you know, your favorite booktuber. I don't have many connection with other booktubers, to be fair, so I would not know what to mention, and I've got so many booktubers that I love and I follow. I just don't want to choose one. I don't know, I feel guilty in choosing one, so I'm not gonna mention it. I'm just gonna skip these questions for this year. I'm sorry. And thank you for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what is your favorite read of the year so far. I'd be very curious. Plus I can take some recommendations out of that, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!